Snow White. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a king and queen. They loved each other dearly, but they had no child, despite their fervent desire for one. Every day the queen would sit by the window and gaze into the garden, dreaming of the joy a charming little girl would bring as she frolicked among the trees. One winter afternoon, while knitting a scarf, she looked out into the garden, marvelling at the snow's radiant whiteness and the trees' shiny black branches. Lost in thought, she accidentally pricked her finger with the needle and her blood dripped onto her dress. 3 crimson drops. How beautiful all these colours are! If only my daughter could be as white, as black, and as fiery red, as she thought to herself. Miraculously, in just a few months, the queen's dream came true. Her daughter was born with skin as white as snow, hair as black as ebony, and her tiny lips as red as blood. They named her Snow White. However, the queen's joy was short-lived. On a cold November day, she fell ill and took to her bed. Before long, she closed her eyes forever. Afterwards, the king raised Snow White on his own. He mourned for a while, but soon felt the need for a new woman in the house who could be a mother to his daughter. So he remarried, but the new wife paid no attention to Snow White. Admittedly, she was beautiful, but terribly vain. All day long she applied lipstick to her lips. Her maids combed her hair every hour. The queen never took her eyes off her own reflection in the mirror. She had a marvellous magic mirror and spent the entire day conversing with it. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied each time, "You are the fairest, until now. But who knows how much longer?" "How long? How long? Forever," laughed the queen. The queen was constantly preoccupied with herself. However, one beautiful day, after adjusting her hairstyle for the 100th time, applying rouge to her lips, she satisfactorily put down her mirror, only to see Snow White walking across the room. The queen was left gaping in astonishment. The girl, who she hadn't noticed before, had grown into a beautiful young lady over the years. The queen was suddenly overwhelmed with jealousy and suspicion. Could it be that this wretch, with her frail legs, dented chest and sooty hair, is more beautiful than me? No, that cannot be. She grabbed her mirror again and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror replied, "You were the fairest, until now. But who knows, maybe until Tuesday?" "What do you mean?" the queen asked, astonished. The mirror answered, "Snow White is almost grown, and I have not seen a woman more beautiful than her." Upon hearing the response, the queen almost smashed her mirror on the ground. Then she ranted and raved to herself, pacing the castle halls in a frenzy, desperately trying to figure out how she could remain the fairest in the world. In the end, she devised a diabolical plan. On Tuesday morning, the queen summoned the royal huntsman and commanded, "Take Snow White into the office and get rid of her. Bring me her heart as proof." The huntsman was a good man, utterly devastated by the queen's orders. However, orders were orders, and he had to carry them out. So he took Snow White and led her into the forest. For quite a while they walked in silence until they reached the dense, dark heart of the woods. They went so far that the sound of the gunshot barely echoed back to the distant castle. At that moment, the huntsman raised his gun, aiming it at Snow White with trembling hands. However, as he saw her in the crosshairs, he lowered his weapon and said, "I cannot do it. Run for your life and never look back." With that, the girl started running as swiftly as her legs could carry her. The huntsman, in turn, targeted a young stag and fired. After he brought it down, he cut out its heart, placed it in a metal box, and took it back as evidence. In the distance, in one of the castle rooms, the queen, upon hearing the faint gunshot, smirked mockingly. She anxiously waited the huntsman return, only truly calming down when she saw the evidence in the box. Once again, she was undeniably the fairest in the land. Meanwhile, Snow White kept running and running through the forest as far as her legs could carry her. When she became thoroughly tired, she leaned against a tree, panting. Gathering the last bit of her strength, she continued wandering through the dense woods. She had no idea where she was going, just following her instincts until it was completely dark. Wild animals surrounded her in the pitch black night. She was scared, but none of them harmed her. Suddenly, she spotted a charming little cottage deep in the woods. Lights flickered invitingly in the windows, so she ventured closer.